Hello again. My name is Christerpher F. Coleman with the Business Intelligence Group. I'm a business leader, advisor, and business coach. And as my custom is, I like to look at videos, the trends, things that I enjoy, things that I love, and begin to find the business principles out of them. And as a career, as a business coach and advisor, I help investors through due diligence processes, through my career through the military, and as an operations leader, I've helped organizations save millions of dollars of continuous improvement through operational excellence, and was able to help these organizations gain billions of dollars of revenue. So I thought maybe as a business coach, I could make some money for myself, and pursuit of that, making content, finding the business principles as well as the career principles that help develop a career that is enjoyable and worthwhile. And so I saw this video. It's called "How I Built a $1 Million Pool," and there's some business principles here, some career principles that we can all learn. And I thought that I would share some of those with you. So let's take a look and let's get started.
I am standing beside a $1 million pool. Now I know what you're asking yourself. How the heck can a pool be $1 million? Well, let me put it into some terms that you might easily understand. Behind me is a concrete structure that is over 35 feet tall.
So the first thing is that what they're trying to do here is insane. Building a pool that is elevated and on a hill. Now, I'm not an engineer right now. I used to be an engineer, but I'm not a structural engineer. And this is a beautiful house. Seems like it's in a beautiful environment, but it's 30 feet tall in the air, so the foundation has to be there. And so he's going to talk about all of the different steps to get to this point. But I want to make a point here before we get too far into it, is that to build a great organization, you have to have a great foundation. Sometimes you have to rip the foundation. Sometimes you have to build structures to actually build the foundation that you need for the business that you want to build. As a career individual, someone that's an entrepreneur, someone in an organization working their way up the ladder, you have to develop those skills that you need that is fundamental for you to begin to grow in your career. It may be, soft skills like being able to communicate, being able to note take, being able to learn, being able to be quiet, being able to have humility. These are soft skills that you have to have going into an organization that you can work your way up. And I can tell you, not a lot of people have it. And so fundamentally, being able to have the foundation, identify that you need to have a foundation, and then being able to build it. Just think if this pool was built on a faulty foundation or not a foundation at all, what would that look like? So let's keep going.
Side of this concrete structure, there is over 180,000 pounds of fill dirt compacted at 8-inch intervals. The amount of concrete itself is over 200,000 pounds. And we haven't even gotten to the pretty parts yet. We are gonna adorn this structure with stone, tile, coping, lights, jets, everything you can imagine. Now, factor in the 7 months of back-breaking labor that my team had to put in to build this damn thing. And I am gonna show you from start to finish how we did it, but first, let me back up all the way to the beginning.
This is outstanding.
This was what our site looked like.
As you can see, this is what the site looked like. And, it's a hill, it's a beautiful house, and they have to structurally build this pool 35 feet in the air. And, as you begin to see this project go on, what ends up happening is, let me go to his channel. And my wife and I, we like to look at, videos on houses and things of that nature. And, this was, the one I just saw was 7 months ago. Here's one from 4 days ago. So I saw this the other day and I was like, I gotta make a video about it. So just to catch you up, they started on this pool, and as it was working, the customer or the owner of the house said, you know what, we want to improve our house. Now, it's already a beautiful house, but they want to add on to the house. They want to make the house better and, more square footage. They want to structurally move the garage and driveway. And so this brought me to another principle, but I want to let it play here for a little bit so you guys can see the gist of what's going on.
That none of this ramp is going to wash out the sides. So we kept a lot of the existing limestone that was on the house. We took it all off the facade. We piled a bunch of it there, and we're using that as a base for the kind of side of this ramp. So it's going to act to retain a lot of that earth in so that we can use this to go up and down as we work.
Okay, so as you can see in this picture here, you saw the house, how the house looked before. If you haven't, go rewind and see how the house looked before, and look how the house looks now. They've torn this house apart, and it was a beautiful house, but the owners weren't satisfied. And as he began to talk about, ripping out some of the old dirt, the old, rocks and things of that nature, and they were using it to build this ramp that you see here. And it brought me to another business principle and a career principle. Sometimes something that looks great isn't always great. Sometimes you have to tear down what you have to build it back up. Sometimes you have to tear down the foundation so that you can rebuild the foundation stronger than ever. And as you begin to rebuild that foundation, you can build it up the right way. Whether it's your career, maybe you have to pivot and go to another area in your career. Maybe you're a business owner or an investor. Maybe when you buy a business or you take over a business as CEO, you have to fire everybody, lottie-dottie everybody. Maybe you have to start all the way over and sweep the foundation clean so that you can have a sturdy foundation that's built right with a great leadership, great principles that is built upon a foundation that you can build the dream career or the dream business that you want as a CEO. And so when they were talking about building this ramp is not going to be here for after that everything is done. This ramp is temporary. So that brings me to principle number 3. Sometimes you have to bring in people, resources temporarily to help you get to a certain point. And once you get to a certain point, you don't need it anymore. So sometimes you might have to let people go. Sometimes you might have to tear down certain areas in the business because you don't need it no more. It doesn't serve you anymore. It got you to a certain point, but it's not going to get you to the next level. And so I hope you can see what I'm talking about there, but let's continue.
Wall came down perfectly as planned. It all basically came down in one piece. And then now we have like 15,000 pounds just laying on the ground. There is a huge task just to bust this whole thing up. We have to go through, ship it all the way out, and then the Bobcat is coming in and it's taking loads and it's bringing it all the way to dump trucks that we have waiting. And this is just going to be a continuous process that we have going on. As things get excavated, they get hauled off, and we're maintaining a clean site throughout. We're leaving access for all of our excavators and Bobcats to get to and fro, and we are really efficient. We just keep this cranking. Now that the wall is down and it's hauled off, there was an existing plunge pool. It was more like a spool, like a big spa, but this thing had some serious footers in it. I mean, there was concrete all the way down, maybe 6 to 8 feet in the ground. So we had to chip all of this out, kind of break it up, and then you see the excavator coming in, digging that out, and then doing the same process, bringing it down the ramp into a truck waiting to haul all that stuff out. Now there is just a ton more digging we have to do. This space is going to be our new stairwell as well as the new elevator pit. So it's actually a pretty damn large space, and it's about 10 feet deep.
All right, so this brings me to another business point, another career tip, is that sometimes it just takes work to start over. Sometimes to get to the next level, you need to go 10 steps back, and it takes work to go backwards. But the thing is, if you can take the time to, in your career, go back to school, get those certifications, it might take work to begin to pivot. But once you pivot, you created a new shovel to keep digging and digging and digging to get to that goal, to get to wherever you want to go to. As a CEO, as an investor, as a business leader, sometimes you have to work on getting people out. Maybe to get people out, maybe it's lawsuits, maybe it's all kind of things to stop you, that is stopping you from progressing. So you have to work and take 20 steps back so that you can go 50 steps forward. And so it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of digging. It takes a lot of things that's down in the current foundation that you have to get rid of so that you can replace, so you can rebuild it. And sometimes, the structure of the business, the structure of your career, it might look completely different, but you'll be glad that you went through that work and built it the right way. Let's continue.
To dig this whole area out, and then the guys are shoring. So what we're doing when we shore is we're putting in steel beams. They want to drive those into the ground as far as they can. Put some up, then we're putting in multiple layers of some thick subfloor. This is about 3 to 4 inches thick, and they'll put in that subfloor. But if you'll see, we have to anchor it at the top as well as at the bottom because we do not want those steel beams kicking out. So as we're digging, they're adding shoring. They're gonna dig a little more, add a little more shoring. Then when we find a deeper pocket, we're gonna get it in lower. We're gonna keep going as we go down and get in shoring up on that whole wall. Preventing a cave-in is pretty much one of the most important things you can do on a site. And I was really proud of the guys and how professional they were in getting.
All right, so preventing a cave-in. So sometimes restructuring an organization, sometimes redoing the foundation, sometimes pivoting into a new career, doing something new. It's not a pretty sight. It takes a lot of patience. It's not just rip up everything, la-di-da-di, just la-di-da-di, everything has to go. You have to prevent cave-ins. You have to prevent the business from falling apart. You still got to make revenue. You still have to provide for your family and your career. So you have to put some backstops in place so things don't cave in. In this example, they put this backstop here, so as they begin to dig, it doesn't cave in. It doesn't create more work for themselves. And so you'll see this more as I play the video. But in your life, in your career, in your business, how can you put a backstop in place to as you begin to reinvent yourself, as you begin to embark on building a new foundation for the organization as a CEO, as a leader, as an investor? At some point you need to rip up everything, but you have to do it systematically, so you just don't destroy everything. And there's some cases where maybe you do want to just destroy everything if you have the cash to burn, but in most times you wisely want to go about taking apart things, and so you don't make more of a mess for yourself. You still have to provide for your family. If you're an entrepreneur, maybe you have to pivot. So maybe you just don't quit the job. Maybe you go to school while you're working a job. Maybe you go take a certification while you're still on the job. And little by little, you start to reinvent yourself. It's a lot of work on you, but that's something you have to do to begin to pivot, and you'll be happy that you make those moves. So let's continue.
Now that all of our shoring is up to our liking, it is time to dig, hammer, chip, and then just get all of that out of there. We need to bring this all the way down to the ground level, and then we are double and triple checking our measurements in the field on site to make sure that all the dimensions of this pit and stairwell are exactly what they want them to be. Making tons of progress. Look, we got shoring up here for all of our excavation that has to happen in this huge pit. This is where our stairs are going to be. This is where our elevator is going to be. Now what we are discussing is how do we keep all of this framing? This whole roof structure comes off, but this framing is kind of supposed to stay. So how do we keep this framing and open this up all the way? So we're just kind of troubleshooting that. If we just have Pedro, you know what? Just have him start pulling off the roof. He's supposed to.
Yeah, the whole roof goes away. All the roof framing goes away.
Yeah.
We've been keeping it covered to kind of like protect this area, but at this point it's like, oh, maybe we just take the roof off and then take the load that's sitting on this out, and then
Exactly.
you have to do some small additional framing in this area.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, because think about it. All of this framing is completely gone with the new addition. This is all, the kitchen expands out that way.
yeah.
I'm just thinking time-wise.
He still has to dig this pit all the way down before he actually pushes this in.
Yeah, so we got to dig this whole pit out all the way down to that bottom level.
Yeah. So I mean,
And then we can cut this wall here cut this wall there, and push this wall out.
So they want this wall gone, this framing remains, and our new foundation wall actually ends up tying into this wall here.
Kind of where my pink marks are there.
Yep. So this is
Yeah, where that pink mark is.
extent of your excavation. So the new foundation wall will tie into the existing foundation wall. Then from this way over, this wall's out of the way, so we have more breathe for the interior of the house. So gotta have this thing of like, okay, we need to maintain the framing, but there's nothing that we're actually supporting at the end of the day right here.
And also, dude, it's one wall.
Yeah.
It's like, screw it. In the scheme of things, we could just take all this out. We can literally go from this corner and we could just pull off anything that's being supported to back over here if we wanted. Yeah, let's say if we went from this point here over to that corner and just open this all up. So now, as you see, if we got a dumpster out here to handle all that roof frame, you know, these guys are just working, taking all the spoils from there and grabbing it all and throwing it in the dump truck. So you're saying you got to maintain this ramp?
Until I get to the garage.
That's so tough. But we need all of it gone ultimately.
Ultimately. But this won't go away till this is 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, until we don't need to get up here anymore,
Exactly.
this has to stay. But you have to have enough room to bring in all the fill you need. And Pedrito, ¿qué pasó?
All right, I'm gonna stop it there. The last principles that I wanted to embark or leave with you is that as you begin to pivot in your career, as you begin to tear up a foundation to build another foundation that your business can thrive in, you're gonna need smart people that are part of the team that help you go through that process. And those team members can help you get through that season in your life or that season of the business. But are they meant to stay there after the rebuild is done? Maybe in your career, you have advisors, people that, that you look up to, that you help. And maybe, there's people that you bring in your life that have a certain expertise that can help you pivot. But maybe they can't help you once you get in this new area. Maybe they can't help you. So understanding and being okay with that you need people around you to help you get to the next level. Maybe the next level is going back a couple levels. And maybe you need people around you to help with the technical aspects of going into a new career, the technical aspects of, investing into an organization. Maybe you're doing an acquisition or a merger. Maybe you need people to come in to help you with the change management, to bring people together. Maybe you need a team that has experience on a board to help you in your organization through a certain season in your life. Maybe in the season of the business, you might be trying to tear down a section of the business and erect another. And it might be, whatever the case might be, you might need to bring somebody else in the board that has experience with that change management. Maybe has expertise in that specific area that you're going into. And so I say all of that to say that there's so many business principles and career principles that we can learn from everyday life. And I like YouTube, and I like sports. I like women's basketball, football. I love all of these things. I enjoy them. But I can't help but to understand the operations behind them, understand the business principles behind them, understand the career moves that can be taken and the career development that can be taken from what we see, because it's so public, it's so out there. And it creates a nice niche space for me on YouTube to begin to usher in some of my experiences to help others, but at the same time seeing in real time what other people are doing and extravating and bringing out the business principles in them. So again, my name is Christerpher F. Coleman with the Business Intelligence Group. I'm a business leader. I'm an advisor. I'm a business coach. So if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at ccoleman144. You can connect with me on Instagram and X at ccolemanbiz. It's been real. It's been fun. Catch you in the next one. Peace.